The Rotary Club of Taradale has a history of supporting Pacific Island communities going back to 1967. Many are small, but some have required club members to travel to help the recipients with the implementation of the project. One such project was what is called the Samoan Water Tank Project. To find out more about this project, we're going to talk with Ron Ward, the man who 26 years ago travelled to the school of Longiopolutu on the island of Savaii, in what used to be known as Western Samoa. So Ron, what exactly was the project the club did in Western Samoa way back in 1986?
The project was initiated by Dave Nichol, one of our past presidents, who brought along two local girls, both of them little sisters of the poor, who spoke to us about the need for educational material, particularly books in Longiopolutu College. They appealed to the club for support for this project, and the club got behind it in a big way. I was the then director of the international committee and was able to contact most of the schools and get 7 tons of books which we shipped over to Samoa.
So that's how you got involved in the project. Were there many other club members taking part as well? Was it just restricted to your committee or club-wide?
No, most club members were involved. Most club members who had contact with various schools around Hawke's Bay approached the schools and got surplus library books, which we boxed up and then had shipped over to Apia in Samoa. The books were landed on the wharf in Samoa where they just sat. The customs officers there insisted on us paying customs duty for these books, which we contended were educational material exempt from customs tax.
So that was the battle you had with the Samoan government officials once you got to Apia?
That was correct,
I bet you won.
Yes, I went to Wellington and obtained permission and interviewed the Minister of External Affairs, and from him obtained a letter of introduction to the Prime Minister of Samoa. Ken Tremain, who had a travel agency, organised a trip on Polynesian Airlines for me, which made it quite easy to go there. All I had to provide was my food, clothing and beer money.
So Ron, Longiopolutu is on the island of Savaii, which is the other main island of Samoa. How did you get the equipment that club members had donated to the school?
We had it shipped to Apia, and then it was sitting on the wharf there for some weeks, and the customs officials there were demanding that we pay customs duty on them. We contended that as they were educational material, they were exempt from customs duty. And armed with my letter to the Prime Minister, I went to his office. He was out, but I interviewed one of his senior members there, who agreed that the customs duty was not to be paid. With a letter from him, I went then and saw the customs officials and told them what the position really was. And I insisted that they ship the books over to Savaii for me. I went across by plane, and I was met by Sister Zita and Sister Christine, who were the two nuns responsible for their end of the project. We had the books unloaded on the wharf at Savaii and then trucked to Longiopolutu College, where they were distributed amongst not only Longiopolutu College, but other local schools who were needing books as well.
You were there. So Ron, where did the water tanks come into this?
The water tanks came into it quite incidentally. When I arrived there, the Savaii is dependent on rainwater, and they had 2 tanks which were going to be installed by one of the Rotorua Rotary clubs. And that project did not get completed for some reason or other. One of the tanks was installed, but the other was not completed and was not in position. So my job, at the request of the principal of the college, was to get that project finished first.
So the header tank, I think, was in place, wasn't it?
The header tank was very much in place.
You had to organise.
And the water pump was there for it.
Right.
But the 2 main holding tanks, each of them about 5,000 gallons, had to be put on foundations and hooked up.
So how did you go about organising that happening, being built? The local people? Or?
Yes, I got the local people involved. They were very cooperative, and I had the cooperation of some of the nuns, particularly Sister Christine, who ran the farm at Longiopolutu. And incidentally for whom I took over an electric fence, amongst other things, to keep her bulls in place.
She'd be delighted with that, wouldn't she?
She was delighted. She organised the labour force for me, and I had a couple of plumbers who knew what they were on about, I think. But the funny part about it was that while I was there, everybody worked well, but the moment I went away to do something else, they stopped work and leant on their shovels. So I had to get back there quite often and get the job done first.
So Ron, you went there with educational books. You provided fencing for the bulls.
Yeah.
You completed the water tank project as well, but that was not all. There's more.
That's right.
There's the radio communications system you put in place.
Yes, that is correct. I was then the chairman of the Hawke's Bay Mountain Radio Service, and the radios that we used had become obsolete. We established the sets in the convents, and the nuns operated them, much to the annoyance of the Minister of Broadcasting. This service was established, and it was the only service which was workable in the next cyclone that came, and providing communication between the islands of Apollo and
How
Savaii.
brilliant was that?
It was really marvellous.
It really was. You know,
Yes.
that's
But
communication link.
The communication aspect, of course, lasted only as long as the batteries in the sets would last, because they didn't have any idea about replacing batteries.
Right. You had a great time when you were
It was
there.
a good
You achieved
time,
a
yes.
tremendous amount on
Yes.
behalf of the club.
It was a very good international project, and one that the people over in Savaii, and particularly Longiopolutu, were very, very pleased with. It made they said that it made a big difference to the quality of education in Longiopolutu College.
26 years ago, overall, looking back now, how effective do you feel the project was?
I think it was one of the most effective international projects we had done.
Great benefit to the locals and great relationship with the club.
Very much so.
Thank you, Ron. The school at Longiopolutu had to be closed in 1992. The Catholic Education Office decided that because of the falling roll, it was no longer economic to support the school in this location, and students were redirected to other island schools. However, for 6 years, the work carried out by Ron, supported by club members back in Taradale, was of enormous benefit to the local community and children.